If you have been drawn into the Android world, especially wanting to get your hands dirty with system stuff, you are in the right place. Maybe you have got a cool idea and want to build your own Android version. Or you're curious about the nitty-gritty of Android development. Or perhaps you're eyeing a career switch, thinking about diving into AOSP development across different fields like cars and gadgets. Well, I'm here to walk you through the basics, showing you how to find your footing and get started with AOSP. Let's get to it. So, what's AOSP all about? AOSP stands for Android Open Source Project. This is your starting point to dive in, maybe even in your free time, to get a good grasp on how it all ticks. Jumping into AOSP isn't as tough as it might seem. All you need is access to the right resources. Think documentation, Android source code, and setting up your development environment, including getting an emulator running on your computer. Those are the basics to get your feet wet and start gaining some real experience in this space. Alright, first things first. Let's get your environment ready. The initial step is to snag the source code of AOSP and get cracking on building it. To do this, head over to Google website and follow the instruction laid out there. Pay attention though, because every step matters, and you have got to stick to the script closely. Here is a bit of advice. I'm all for using Ubuntu. Generally, any Linux distro could work, but Ubuntu is my top pick. If you are Ubuntu, you are golden. Windows users, head up. You might bump into some hiccups along the way. However, if Docker is in your toolkit, your operating system doesn't matter. Docker smooths out the process, making it consistent regardless of your OS. You will find Docker images online, especially on Docker Hub, that are prepared and ready with everything you need for the AOSP building. So, your mission starts at Google website. Dive in, pick the AOSP version you're itching to work with, and clone it. Following the steps carefully, you will get to the point where you are building AOSP. Depending on your PC's muscle, this could take anywhere from an hour to a few hours. Before crossing the finish line, I recommend building a version that's emulator friendly for your PC. This way, you can immediately see your build in action and start tweaking and coding directly within AOSP. Okay, you have got AOSP built and it's running the emulator on your PC. This is where the fun begins. You can now poke around the different parts of the operating system. And hey, if you have done some Android development before, you will find adding your first application to this custom image is not too daunting. You have got two paths to pick up from here. One, you can install the necessary packages directly onto the distro you are using on your PC. Or two, you can go to the Docker route. Going with Docker tends to be the cleaner option since it saves you from drowning in a sea of dependencies. Plus, it sidesteps the headache of potentially clashing versions or conflicts with other apps you have got running on your machine. So yeah, setting up your environment comes down to either installing some packages the traditional way or leaning into the Docker for a smoother setup. Documentation out there that shows you the repos on building, cloning, and firing up the emulator, AOSPInsight.com is a goldmine for handy articles. Think of it as your cheat sheet, summing up everything you need to know and laying out the steps in an easy to follow outline. Plus, I've whipped up a Docker image that could really streamline the process for you. It's designed to make your life easier, so definitely check it out if you are looking for a smoother way to follow along and get things rolling. What's the next move? Time to start crafting AOSP and cooking up your own Android image to play with over your local network. But first thing first, as I mentioned before, you gotta pick the right variant to build. My 2 cents, go for something that's emulator friendly on your PC. This way, you get to see your masterpiece in action without needing any extra hardware. It's way easier and a real-time saver, unless you're diving into the deep end with some hardcore, low-level, hardware-specific stuff. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and stick to the emulator-friendly route for now. It's just simpler. Once you have settled on the perfect variant, get the build process rolling. How long it takes is gonna hinge on your CPU's could be an hour. Could stretch to 3. All depends on your setup's horsepower and how you play your cards with the build commands. Speaking of which, you have got control over how many threads to let loose during the build. So, crank it up and let the build command do its things. Next up, it's time to dive into Google's code. This is where you are gonna beef up your Android smarts. AOSP has got this massive code base that can feel like you're navigating a crazy maze, but figuring out where to look, that's your golden ticket. It turns a wild good chase into a straight shot to the good stuff. So, get ready to comb through those docs. It's where you will pick up all the tricks and tips to get savvy with Android development. If navigating feels overwhelming, remember it's all about understanding its architecture. I know the code base is huge, and finding what you need seems tough without a roadmap. Don't worry, I'm planning to drop another video focusing on AOSP's architecture to help clear things up. But if you're eager to learn more right now, head back to the Google Android site where you started your AOSP journey. The vast code base might seem intimidating, but with a solid grasp of AOSP structure, finding your way around get a whole lot easier. Stay tuned for the architecture deep dive. Alright, diving into Android, AOSP, and all that jazz. You're in luck because there is a ton of stuff out there to help you get your bearing. If you are wondering where to start, checking out the AOSP architecture is like getting the grand tour. Plus, there's a whole bunch of guides and how-tos on getting your setup ready, cloning the source code, whipping up your building, and even crafting your very own custom image. And that's just for if cloning the source code is not your jam and you're hitting a snag, there's a slick alternative that lets you bypass the hassle entirely thanks to Google. Just head over to cs.android.com. Once there, you are greeted with options to dive into various projects like Android, Android X, Android Studio, and Android LLVM. Picking Android as your starting point, you will find yourself with three choices: the Android source code main branch, the default branch, and the kernel. I usually go straight for the main branch. On the left, there's an Explorer view presenting a tree-like directory of these three sections in AOSP. You can pick your area of interest and deep dive into the source code and project to study and learn from there. If curiosity is your drive, this site is a goldmine. Personally, I find myself using cs.android.com a lot for code searches. It's faster and way more intuitive than wrestling with Git and grep on my local machine. Not to mention the slick UI. Hyperlinks connect methods to their definition and usage across the code base, making navigations a breeze. For instance, venturing into the framework section, picking up apps, and pulling up the Java source code dialog, you are met with a variety of files and folders and tests. Want to delve into the code? Just click on any item, like an answer implementation. To explore simple source code segmentation and discover where and how they are used. This platform's strength lies in its user-friendly design, listing all the methods in a class and highlighting linked ones for easy exploration. Navigating further, there's a line finder and history like, revealing recent commits and PRs. Although the top part allows branch switching, sticking with the main means you are seeing the most current version by default. If curiosity takes you back to explore other branches, you are sure to uncover even more insights. That's the beauty and utility of this platform, making it an invaluable tool for both seasoned devs and newcomers alike.